Hi and welcome to 07, the EVE Online show. I'm CCP Mimic and I'll be your host in this episode as CCP Guard is away on an adventure. He sends his regards and promises to be back, assuming of course that he can escape the bright lights of the Sunset Strip and isn't cast as the lead in the new HBO drama, or more likely become some rich Hollywood exec's trophy husband. Coming up in the show, we'll be looking at the recent Phoebe release, getting an update from CCP Explorer on the fast-paced 5-week release cadence, getting to know the worm a bit better, and of course interviewing a variety of developers about changes to EVE past and future. We will also be revealing some as-yet unpublished new content that will be hitting the Singularity test server soon. And joining me in the studio to start off the show are pro mountain biker CCP PUNKTURIS and knitting grandmaster CCP KARKUR. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, well, we'll start with you, CCP PUNKTURIS, and go into what has just been released in Phoebe, which was, of course, something that your team, well, quite a lot's come in Phoebe, but that your team has specifically been working on were the multi-cell and also some of the new agent tracker modifications. And how have they been met? How do you think that it's been going so far?
I think so far the players have been really happy about these features. Listening to what they have to say about it is at least making us pretty happy.
This is good. This is good. This is what we like, to make them happy. All the little tweaks and the changes here.
Yeah.
And I know that we aren't allowed to yet talk about things that are coming up in the future, but is this something that with the changes that you made, especially to the mission tracker and to the agents and everything, that the way that people are now able to see much more of what's available to them as they're flying through space, is this something that is the goal or the vision that everything that you're going to be working on in the future is going towards, or is there it's just tweaking and making sure that everything that's currently in the game is working the way that you want it to be?
We don't have really set in stone what we're going to work on in the future, but the changes to the mission tracker and the mission stuff is at least opening up opportunities for us to make things better in the agent and mission system.
Which is good, and I think a lot of people will be very pleased to hear that, because I mean it's a large part of our player base just runs missions. That's what they like to do. And of course now with the multi-cell function, it's so much easier to just get rid of all the space junk that you just collected. Yeah. I know it's one of my favorite things that's come in Phoebe, so
that's good to hear.
Very pleased with it.
I know people have been asking for this for a long time, and I have also been thinking about it for quite some time as well, so it was really nice to get it out to the players now. Yeah,
just get it done and get them using it and enjoying it and making it easier for them. And CCP KARKUR, you've been working on quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
Also some very popular features, which is a good thing.
Yeah, my team has been working on the skill queue, just kind of lifting the cap, and it's been great to see just the players' reactions, and they just seem really happy about it.
Yes, it is. We're going to get the final numbers on how much it jumped just in the first 24 hours of the Phoebe release, because we did get we took a snapshot just before, just to make sure that we had the full length of time that people had trained, and then 24 hours, and we'll be showing that on your screen later. And so we just, I have now lost my place in what I was actually going to talk about, but is there any plan for anything further with the skills? Is there anything that you're allowed to talk about yet? I know it's only just happened. But
it at least opens up a lot of possibilities. The time cap was kind of restricting us from doing all sorts of things, but now at least we have the option to do other, like just open up kind of making better training plans and all that. It's not planned as it is, but at least it's like more open.
This is a good thing.
Yes.
Very good thing to hear. And I know that a lot of people have been very pleased with both of these, specifically these two, and especially with the skill queues. I mean, the first day of the Phoebe release, I think that's all that Twitter talked about was the skills. They're like, yay, I've added so many days. But that's not all you've been doing. You also have here Guristaru or Kangarista.
Yeah,
depends
I'm
on
not
which
sure
way
what to call it. But
and tell us about what you have created.
Yeah, I knit a lot. We're just joking around, calling me CCP Grandma. But last year I made a hat for Eve Down Under, and they asked me to make another one. So I just kind of came up with that. It was CCP Manifest, I think, that kind of made make the picture like that, and I just kind of went with it. I think
I believe that they haven't quite revealed what they're going to use it as a prize for, but we'll be sure to find out. And if my maths is correct on when this gets broadcast and when Eve Down Under starts, it's just 14 days and 11 hours away, and I'm so excited.
You're going.
Because, yes, I'm going. Me, CCP Mimic, and CCP Rise and CCP Logibro will be there, and it's 3 days of lots of talks and tournaments and parties and everything else. And they have a really interesting 1v1 tournament on the Sunday, which I'm really looking forward to. I think that that's a lot of fun. They basically get 2 minutes to fit their ship from whatever they can find in the hangar at the time, and off they go and fight, and they're the best man win sort of thing.
Sounds fun.
So exactly.
Fozzie last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe he did. He's sitting in the studio at the moment and blushing slightly, but we'll see if Rise can do a better job this year. And we've also just come back from Eve Vegas, which was a sold out event with over 500 people, with presentations and keynotes and everything else. And so rather than us talk about it, we're going to show you a little clip about what happened in Vegas.
This is CCP Guard outside the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. We are sold out for E-Vegas with over 500 tickets sold, so we can only assume that all these people here are attending E-Vegas.
That's right. On Friday, the players started docking at the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino, first by the dozens, but soon by the hundreds. There was lots of excitement, laughter, hugs, pirates. This guy opened a beer. In the middle of all this pandemonium, there was even a marriage proposal. Despite attempted station camping, it was soon decided to break out and head out onto the pub crawl. Nothing was going to keep this crowd locked up. The city lights. Location, Planet Hollywood Casino and Resort. Time, 1000 hours. The troops are reporting for duty after a previous night's raid on the city. And what's better to rejuvenate the spirit than listening to presentations about what fellow players are up to, or what CCP has in store? Other activities at the venue included PvP tournaments, and those who had fully recovered from the night before tried their hands on Eve Valkyrie. Las Vegas never sleeps, and field exercises using live ammunition, driving exotic cars, operating heavy tanks, and dogfighting, for those with the stomach for it, sure kept the troops busy. After a spectacular weekend full of presentations, socializing, and hands-on experiences, a group of exhausted troops headed back home. And they're already looking forward to heed the call and do it all over again next year.
From Las Vegas Boulevard, EVE Online, you gotta have it. You gotta have it. It's the best. Thank you very much.
So that's what we got up to in Vegas, but now a little bit more about what happens behind the scenes here in the office. Here is CCP Explorer to tell us a little bit more.
EVE's new release cycle is 5 weeks, and many people have wondered, is that also the development cycle? Do all features have to fit into a 5-week window? The simple answer to that is no, these two things are different. Development of a large feature may take more than 5 weeks. We are not restricted by the release cycle, rather it enables development to take place anytime, and then the feature to be shipped when it's ready. When we start working on a feature, we have a target release in mind, but that may change as we go into the development and as we start to get feedback from players and as we learn. Some features take many months. For example, when we revamped Industry, the work started in January and we shipped in July. At the same time and later, many other developments started, and most of that was shipped in June or earlier. So for Industry, we were not restricted by the 5-week release cycle, and we were not restricted by any other development that was happening at the same time or other deployments that were happening at the same time. Other features take much less time, perhaps only a sprint, and then is shipped in the next available release, which is never more than 5 weeks away. Other features that are not ready and are still in development simply stay in the development sandboxes until they're ready, and are tested on Singularity, if Singularity is available, but more likely on Duality, our secondary public test server. So in conclusion, I hope this clarifies that the 5-week release cycle does not dictate a 5-week development cycle, but rather that development can happen at any time, and features are shipped as soon as they're ready.
Hi and welcome back, and with me this time around I've got CCP FOXFOUR and CCP TERMINUS. Welcome guys. I believe you guys are on Team Size Matters, and there's been two aspects to what you've been working on in Phoebe, yes?
Yes, there's been two things that we've sort of been focused on. One is the trial changes that we've recently made. We took a whole look at all the trial account restrictions and removed some, replaced some, and made the whole experience a little bit cleaner and better. And then the second aspect of what we did for Phoebe was support other teams with their features and making sure that they're fully and properly exposed in our API for third-party developers.
And that's something that you primarily do, isn't it? You focus mainly just on the API support.
It is now, yes. A short time ago, I switched over to Team Size Matters, and with the focus of supporting our third-party devs, which is, I believe, a first for CCP having a dev focused on that. So it's good times.
And yeah, I mean, so far from what I've heard from the community, it looks like they're very pleased that they're getting the support and are very pleased with the work that you've done so far. So
it's been wonderful having CCP Seagull as executive producer. She's fully behind supporting third-party developers. So yes, having that support and being able to fully dedicate my time to it is making a lot of changes.
This is very good. And CCP Terminus, you're quite new. And
Yep.
Before we get into this, you recently won a prize at our Halloween party.
Yes.
Because of what did you dress as?
Brian.
For those who don't know, CCP Veritas. He looked perfect. But yes. Anyway, now on to subject. Actually, seeing as that's what we're supposed to be talking about. I was hoping that you would be able to tell us a little bit more, not about what just came out in Phoebe, but what you've got planned in Rhea.
We're going to be making some changes to the death penalty and how medical clones work. We're actually going to be removing all the clone grades.
Okay.
Yeah, and
quite a change.
It's pretty crazy, and there will no longer be any skill point loss on death. So you won't have to upgrade your clone anymore, and you won't lose any skill points. And you'll still lose your implants, but everything else will be gone, basically.
That's a very big change. Why have you guys decided to do that?
We felt that basically for older players, it wasn't really helping them out very much. They were very disincentivized to go out in ships and get themselves killed and interact with other people because they had so many expensive implants and such expensive clones to replace. It wasn't helping new players at all because a lot of times they didn't really know about the system, about clone upgrades and all that kind of stuff. And so when they would get killed and lose skill points, it was a very big hit to them as well. So. And
yeah, especially with the time that it takes, especially, I mean, yes, there might be lower grade skills, but they still, you feel the time when you haven't been in the game that long. Yeah, you can get unlucky and lose some pretty lengthy skills. We've seen some quite extensive skill point losses before in tickets, so yeah. Okay, well, and why now? Why have you decided that this is the direction that you want to go? Well, we actually have some plans for taking this a step further. This is kind of step one in a series of changes we want to make to clones and kind of what they do and how they work and how skill points work in general, and see what we can do, interesting things we can do in the future with clones and maybe implants and things like that. So. Okay, and you believe like this is just the first step, or have you decided on directions you're going to go, or is that all still top secret and waiting to be developed?
Yes, is this top secret?
It's fairly top secret.
Well, you're not
but
fun.
there are plans.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's still that's a substantial change. It's yeah. Okay. Well, I have to say that I'm looking forward to that. That'll make my life much easier with the fact that people don't have to lose as much every time that they get potted. I mean, of course, the implants, but I guess we'll just have to see what you have in store for those changes to try and balance it out and make it difficult in some other way, which you always do. But yes, well, thank you very much for sharing that with us, and thanks for your time. And we will be back with you guys, I'm sure, in the next show, probably, to tell us about the next steps that you have.
Sounds like a fun time.
And now we're going to be shining the dev spotlight on CCP RealX in his studio to see what he's been up to.
My name is DOWNUNDER, dev name RealX. I'm the residential composer for EVE Online here at CCP. I've been with CCP since the year 2000 when I was hired to write the original soundtrack to EVE Online. And since then I've done almost everything with regards to sound in the game. I have done sound design, I do a lot of technical integration work, and lately I've been getting into programming, which is what I do most of the time now. But however, I still write the music for the game, and the Phoebe theme song is no exception. Well, while the process remains the same, my hardware has changed quite a lot. I've replaced all my virtual analog synthesizers with real ones, and I have access to a much better string library than I had back then. Now let me show you some of the processes involved in making an EVE theme song. This song was really born out of the melody. I was playing with my MKS30 here, had made the sound sort of something like an analog brass, and I was just playing around, and I came upon this really short piece of melody. And then while I was just playing around with that, I had to find, of course, some chord progression. And then just with the same sound, I played bass with it, like this, and tried that. And then that together, the bass line and the melody, that's what formed the basis of the song. So I also, because I thought this wasn't enough, I added another melody at the lower register to play along with the main melody to make it sound more richer. And when you play them all together, you have the main melody of the track. So from there, I had the chord progression, I had the melody, and then I could go about creating the rest of the song. After I got all my synth parts the way I liked them, I started to work on the strings. And I have this really fantastic piece of software where I can play a string part like this. And again, as you can see on the monitor over here, it will automatically DVC everything for me, so I don't have to write each part. I just play in what I wanted to hear, and it will automatically divide them on the instrument here. I have two layers of strings. I have both a legato playing the chords and some soft melody, and then I have the staccato notes playing sort of like emphasis on the song, on the bass. Here is the softer part of the string. While the staccato part sounds like this. Some of the equipment I use is a little unorthodox. I borrowed this inversion table from a neighbor of mine, after I found out that it actually makes an excellent sound. It actually makes two kinds of sound. It's like this toppy sound like here, and a really bassy one down here. I then just placed the microphone and just recorded it like this. I hope you enjoyed this little view into my world and the creation of the Eve music.
Well, from one developer to another, we're now trying out a new segment with CCP Rise called Does It Fit, in which he looks at how to fit certain types of ships and what you can do with them.
Hey guys, today on Does It Fit, we're going to be taking a look at the Worm. This is a ship that got a big rebalance recently and went from pretty useless to pretty awesome. It's an extremely fun ship, really good at brawling in low sec, and I'm going to walk you through a fit that's perfect for that. So to start out, let's take a look at the traits. Here you can see in the show info window the bonuses. This ship has a bonus to kinetic and thermal missile damage. It has a bonus to shield resistances and a bonus to drone damage, along with a reduction in the amount of drones it actually fields. So you get two really powerful drones instead of a larger flight of less powerful ones. So let's walk into the fit here and take a look at what we should put on this ship. Of course, we're going to try and take advantage of those bonuses as much as possible. If we start out with the high slots, we're going to go with rocket launchers. Like I said, we're going to be brawling at short range with this ship, so we don't need light missiles. Rockets will be just fine, and they save us a lot of fitting room. So we'll start with those. And then if we move down to the mid slots, we're going to have an afterburner rather than a micro warp drive. Again, we want to maximize our fitting room and our range control at short ranges rather than try to go faster and catch things at long ranges. Take advantage of that shield resistance bonus by throwing a medium shield extender on there to increase our HP quite a bit. And then use our last two mid slots for tackle. We have a fleeting propulsion inhibitor here to save us a little CPU on the web, and then a Tech 2 warp scrambler to get the most range we can out of that scrambler. And finally, if we go down to the low slots, we've got our damage control. You always got to have one of those. This is internal force field array, again, to save some CPU. And then we're going to have two drone damage amplifiers. We get more mileage out of those than we would out of ballistic controls. But see, looks like the second drone damage control doesn't actually fit. And Huron doesn't fit. We don't like that. So we're going to go ahead and throw in an EG601 implant to earn us a little bit more power grid to make that fit. And now with that out of the way, we can move on to the rigs. We've got two core defense field extenders to give us a little bit more HP, and one anti-EM shield resist rig to give us a little more defenses against specifically targeted damage. And from there, we can move on to talking about drones and charges. We have two Warrior 2s, two Hobgoblin 2s, and one Acolyte 2. This gives us a nice spread of damage and speed options so that we can face whatever we run into with better ability here. And then for the missiles, we just need to make sure they're kinetic and thermal missiles. More important to take advantage of that damage bonus than to try to have any damage type available. So I've got Scourge or Caldari Navy Inferno missiles, rockets here. To throw in those rocket launchers. They'll work great. Scourge works as well. And I'd also throw in the cargo some Rage rockets in case you run into something with a big sig radius or a cruiser or something like that. All right, now that we've got the Worm all fit up, let's take it out in space and see what we can use it for. So this is a really strong brawling ship against other frigates. You really, with this fit, want to find stuff that you can catch at close range. You're not extremely fast, but something that'll come in at you, whether it's Tech 1 frigates, other faction frigates, or even assault frigates and destroyers. You just want to get something close, get your tackle on, turn all the damage on, and try to avoid any damage they have in any way you can without getting outside tackle range. It's extremely good at that. The only thing you're going to be weak against in this ship, other than being outnumbered, of course, is something that can kite you. Ships like Garmers, Condors, anything that stays outside that scram and web range is going to be difficult for you to catch. So you want to avoid those if possible. But even if you get caught, just throw out your Warrior 2s, stick them on that ship that has you tackled, and it'll probably drive them away eventually. All right, so if you want to mix this fit up a little bit for either, because this doesn't fit, this is arranged with maximum skills assumed. So if you're a newer player and you need to make some changes, there's lots of ways to adjust to get the fitting to work. You can lower the afterburner, the shield extender, the rocket launchers all down to lower meta levels to save yourself power grid and CPU. You can also add more implants like Genolutions. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you have tons of money you don't know what to do with, you get a lot of benefit out of upgrading the web, the scram, even the rocket launchers to higher meta levels, faction or even dead space. So look into that. If you have a bunch of money to blow, you won't be sorry. All right, guys, thanks for watching Does It Fit? We'll see you next time. I hope you all enjoy your worms.
Hi and welcome back, and I have now convinced CCP Fozzie to join me, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what happened in Phoebe, and also hopefully we'll get him to tell us a little bit more about what's happening and what's coming up in Rhea.
We'll see if you play your cards right.
If I play my cards right. Okay, I see how it is. So tell us about Phoebe. Tell us how everything's been going and what your team was working on.
Yeah, we've been really happy with the Phoebe release so far. My team, Team 5-0, we worked on a number of things for Phoebe, but the biggest thing we worked on was the new sensor overlay changes. So we put bookmarks in space, we added the new compass that allows you to easily see what's going on around you. And the response to that's been great so far. It's been really good to see.
It has. Everyone keeps going on about how beautiful the bookmarks are, which is very true, and it's definitely makes life much easier. So
yeah, they're very, very useful. One of the first things I did once we got it up on a test server with, on Sissy, is I pulled up a character that had all of my old bookmarks from back before I was at CCP and looked around at how those were laid out in systems like Tama that I used to hang out in a lot. And it's really great to be able to see where all of your tactical bookmarks are. Yeah. My team's been watching videos that people have made and screenshots people have made, watching for how they're using the overlay, and it's been really great. There's a great screenshot from Tinker Hell of one of the systems that he had just absolutely packed with bookmarks. It's hilarious. It looked like the compass looked just completely white from all the bookmarks.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, that's great, and I'm really glad that everything's been going well for your team and everything that you've put in. But please tell us more about what's happening in Rhea.
Yes, so we've been hard at work for the past couple of weeks on getting ready for the Rhea release, and we're going to be continuing to work on that. We've already announced a little bit of one of the things that we're working on for Rhea, which is the Tech 3 destroyers that we unveiled at Vegas. So the first of those is still coming out in December. It's going to be the Admar Tech 3 destroyer. But I want to talk a little bit about something else that we're adding as well that I think people are going to be even more excited about.
Okay.
If you're paying attention, you'll have seen that there's a whole lot going on in the EVE universe right now. We just had that research race. The Empires are very interested in what's going on in wormholes. Arc Jalan has restarted with Hill and Tukos returning. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and besides the new Tech 3 destroyer, another result of that is we're going to be adding more new space to New Eden in December.
New space?
Yes. So we're going to be adding a collection of new wormhole systems. They're all going to have some unique mechanics and features. There's one in particular that I want to highlight today, though, and it's a very special system we're calling Thera. We think Thera is going to be one of the most popular and kind of most iconic systems in EVE in the future. It's going to be the first ever named wormhole system. It's going to be a wormhole system that has stations in it, NPC stations.
Okay, and what do you think it's going to become? What is the idea behind this, and what are you hoping that this will achieve? Yeah,
so this is a system that we wanted to give people a new type of place to live. In a lot of ways, this is the kind of fifth type of space in EVE. We have high sec, low sec, null sec, wormhole space. And Thera is going to be something that's kind of a combination of a lot of those to make something new. So it's not going to have local, it's going to be null sec just like wormhole space. It's going to have sleeper sites in it. But almost all of its connections will be to normal space, to K space. It's going to have static connections to K space, no static connections to W space, just wandering wormholes. And because of those NPC stations, it's going to be a place that people can quite easily base out of. There's going to be no capital ships allowed in it. You can't build capital ships there. You can't get them in. And you just basically never know where you're going to be connected to tomorrow. You can live in this station and then use the wormholes connecting to K space. And every day you've got a new place to roam, a new place to visit, new neighbors.
That's going to be quite a change, and you'd never really know who's going to, well, everybody else who's in K-Space is never going to know when they're going to connect to you and jump out and surprise.
We think a lot of PvPers are going to be very interested in this. A lot of industrials will be interested in stocking the markets here and building there. The stations are going to have full services, including cloning, manufacturing, research, everything. Okay. No star bases will be allowed in this system, though. It's going to be very closely tied in with a lot of the storyline developments we're making over the next couple months. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that exposed as time goes on. Bits and pieces are going to be continuing to come out. But this is a system that is going to be very, very intimately tied with our storyline advancing.
And I mean, thank you very much for saying that. But when can players expect the next little crumbs of information. How long is this planned out for? What's the timeline?
So we've got stuff planned out for the next couple of months. The storyline stuff is going to be happening almost every day. There's going to be something new coming up. So if you watch the in-game news, if you watch the Intergalactic Summit, you're going to see bits and pieces coming out here and there. And we'll be revealing more and more as we go on. You'll actually be able to see the system itself on CCP. I think next week is our plan for when we get it out on CCP. So people can actually go visit it themselves. Once we put it up on CCP, we're actually planning on setting up a Move Me bot so that people can get to the system and start testing it out and experiencing it. It's going to have unique station colors. It's going to have a unique nebula, a unique system effect eventually, a unique sun. There's a lot that's going to be very special about this system. In a lot of ways, it's something similar to what Sigil represents in Planescape. It's going to be a place that is sort of the hub of the universe for the more lawless types. It's like Jita, but for people that don't want to have Concord around.
Oh dear. Jita without Concord.
Yes. We're expecting a lot of people to be attracted to that. It's going to be the largest system as well.
That's probably going to be the biggest pull. But
it's going to be a gigantic system. These stations are spread very far apart, so you can separate people. It makes it very hard to lock down all of the wormholes to, say, camp the whole system, because everything's going to be way off grid from each other. This is by far the largest system we've ever added. I think it's CCP Rise described it as like the Mos Eisley of Eve, and I think it's going to fit that role very well.
This sounds very exciting. I think it's going to be a great new place for people to explore and to figure out how, well, just a new way that they can play with how they're going to, how they're going to strategize and what they're going to do, what ties they're going to break and what they're going to have to rejoin, and who they're going to jump out at next.
Yeah, we think that it's going to be something that's going to be attractive to alliances going on deployments, just to have some fun there. There's going to be locals that'll want to prey on all the people visiting and living there, just like any NPC nullsec system. We expect there's going to be people that go to visit it to see the unique visuals. Lore fiends are going to love it. Not only is it very heavily tied to the storyline we're going to be putting out in dev blogs and chronicles and news reports, but there's also going to be landmark sites all throughout this system that give hints of the history of it, because it's this is a system that's always been there. You just haven't had access to it before.
Okay, but before you give any more away, because I was told prior to this interview that there were some questions I wasn't allowed to ask you, so I'm not even going to try and beg. But yes, thank you very much for joining us. That was very, very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to. So in a week or so, we'll be able to see it on CC.
Yes, there's going to be a forum post out and a dev blog out as soon as we get it onto CC for people to test it out, and we think people are going to really enjoy it. We can't wait to get people in the system and actually playing with it.
This is good. This is great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And that's all that we've got time for on the show, but we hope that you enjoyed it. So please let us know if there's anything else that you would like to see broadcast by contacting us on share@eveonline.com. And the next 07 show will be just after the Rhea release in December, where we'll bring you more content, more interviews, and more behind-the-scenes insight into what's happening in New Eden. In the meantime, there are player gatherings to attend, asteroids to mine, and so many, many lasers to shoot. Fly safe.